Stop scrolling right now, freeze your position, and look at your screen with absolute focus before a devastating crisis crashes through the front door of your home tonight. Stop worrying blindly about your children, your finances, and the physical safety of your household, because if you make the catastrophic mistake of swiping past this video in the next 3 seconds, you are making a conscious choice to leave your loved ones completely naked, completely defenseless, and utterly unprotected against an aggressive, hidden attack scheduled to hit your family tomorrow morning. This is not a casual piece of internet content or a random message meant to be ignored. This is an immediate, high-priority spiritual emergency alert designed specifically for your home and your bloodline. Right now, as you sit under the weight of this heavy atmosphere, the invisible hand of Almighty God is stepping into the center of your living room to physically intercept a silent, malicious plot aimed directly at your household. If you turn your back on this warning right now, you are telling the heavenly guards to stand down, and you are leaving the people you love the most to face the upcoming ambush entirely alone. Do not touch your screen, do not shift your gaze, and do not dare to leave this transmission, because the security of your house for the year 2026 depends entirely on what you do in the next few minutes. Look at the terrifying reality of the unseen warfare that has been lurking around your property lines and your family tree for months. You have been feeling an unexplainable, sudden wave of panic every time your children walk out the door, a deep, heavy tension inside your home that leads to constant arguments, and a strange, freezing dread that whispers to you in the dark that something terrible is about to happen to your household. You have been blaming these feelings on everyday stress, fatigue, or simple anxiety. But I am here to completely shatter that dangerous illusion with a fierce, absolute truth. Your home is under an active, highly coordinated spiritual siege. The enemy does not just want to steal your individual peace, he wants to destroy your sanctuary, dismantle your marriage, and fracture the future of your children before they can ever step into their true potential. For weeks, a hidden assignment of chaos, sudden tragedy, and financial ruin has been building up outside your borders. Time to strike when your guard is down. But tonight, the sovereign judge has stepped into your atmosphere to forcefully stop that clock and protect your bloodline. Do not be fooled by the quietness of your neighborhood or the fact that your family members are currently sleeping in their beds. In the United States, you are trained by a surface-level, secular culture to look at your family's safety purely through physical security systems, insurance policies, and natural locks, completely blinding you to the dark spiritual forces that actively target your household. The principalities of destruction do not attack openly, they use sneaky, quiet entry points to inject sudden sickness, emotional distance, and unexpected financial losses into your private space. Have you ever noticed how a major, devastating problem or an unexpected bills crisis always hits your household the exact moment your family is about to experience a breakthrough? That is not bad luck. That is an active assignment meant to keep your bloodline trapped in a cycle of constant survival, fear, and worry. They want to wear you out until you surrender your authority. But tonight, the invisible hand is violently stepping between your family and the enemy's weapon. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the forces of darkness meeting in the deep, freezing shadows of the unseen world, pointing at the blueprint of your house and drafting a terminal decree against your children's future. They laughed as they saw your kind, trusting heart, boasting to one another, "We will attack their peace through sudden chaos, we will introduce division into their home, and we will make sure their family line never breaks the generational struggle. We will strike tomorrow, and they will never know what hit them." They thought their operation was completely invisible to you. They thought your daily distractions would keep you blind until the trap snapped shut on your loved ones. But the High Court of Heaven has just issued a supreme restraining shield over your property. The creator of your family has traced the exact origin of the negative vibes meant to sabotage your household, and he has ordered an immediate, crushing eviction of every dark assignment hovering around your bloodline. Do not get fooled into believing that you can simply log off this app, close your eyes, and fix your family's safety through normal, human efforts tomorrow morning. If you disconnect from this specific protective frequency right now, you are walking away from the ultimate divine defense system. You are leaving your door wide open for the very forces that want to see your children fail and your household suffer. But if you stand your ground, if you lock your eyes onto this truth and allow this commanding word to build a wall of fire around your territory, you will witness an absolute supernatural lockdown over your home. The invisible hand is rewriting the master safety protocols of your entire existence. You are moving away from the position of the worried, vulnerable victim and stepping straight into the unyielding, total authority of the protected ruler of your house. While your natural mind is racing to understand the true scale of the unseen threat lurking outside your front door, a supreme, high-velocity legal wipeout is taking place within the judicial record rooms of the spirit realm. I am here to expose the absolute, terrifying precision of the invisible hand. Right now, as you sit under the heavy protective atmosphere of this emergency transmission, Almighty God is penetrating the deep ancestral roots of your family tree and the physical foundation of your home. He is not just giving you a temporary emotional relief or a brief moment of comfort, he is executing a permanent, cosmic bloodline clean. Deep within the celestial courts that monitor the generational patterns of your lineage, the sovereign judge is physically pulling out the ancient, heavy ledger of your family's history, the exact record that documented every single drop of sorrow, every unexplainable delay, and every dark shadow of limitation that has haunted your household for decades. The invisible hand is taking that entire history of generational suffering, blocking it from your timeline, forcefully freezing every ounce of negative energy aimed at your loved ones, and building an impenetrable safety wall around your home. Do not be fooled by the fact that your family has historically struggled through the same repeating cycles of heartbreak, financial tension, or sudden emotional breakdowns. Those persistent limitations are nothing more than the fading echoes of a broken earthly pattern that has just been legally liquidated by the highest authority in heaven. You have been conditioned by years of watching your relatives go through the same heavy trials to believe that your household must inevitably inherit the same anxieties, the same marital frictions, and the same quiet defeats that limited the generations before you. But the invisible hand is completely interrupting that biological and spiritual entrapment tonight. The dark, hovering shadows that have been trying to settle over your children's future and siphoning the joy from your marriage are facing an absolute, celestial arrest. The deterioration of your family's peace is being stopped by divine decree, and your home is being structurally reprogrammed to handle an unprecedented, continuous influx of supernatural safety. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of generational hardship and division gathering at the borders of your childhood and your present home, verifying the strength of the limitations they laid down against your bloodline. They pointed to the sleepless nights you spent worrying about your family's security and the unexplainable arguments that pop up out of nowhere inside your living room as permanent proof that your household was bound to stay restricted. They boasted to one another, "We will make sure this house remains under a cloud of constant worry, we will pass the same heavy burdens down to their children, and we will trigger a sudden crisis that fractures their stability before they can ever build a lasting legacy." They thought your quiet tolerance of these repeating family struggles was your legal consent to their torment, but the sovereign Lord of the universe has stood up on your behalf, banged his supreme gavel in the courtroom of justice, and ordered an immediate biological and spatial cleansing. The invisible hand is purging their venom from your lineage, turning back the dark cycles, and filling your home with an unshakable, divine tranquility. Do not get fooled into expecting a slow, natural, typical restructuring of your family dynamics that relies on years of human counseling, difficult conversations, or natural strategies. Linear resolution is the slow, limited protocol of the natural world, designed to keep you spinning in circles until your energy is entirely spent. The bloodline clean operates on the immediate, explosive frequency of a sovereign divine override. Tomorrow morning, as the physical world resets, an unprecedented shift is going to manifest inside your domestic reality. It will materialize as a sudden, shocking sense of light and harmony flowing through your living room, the total disappearance of that unexplainable, heavy dread that usually greets you when you walk through the door, a profound willingness among your family members to communicate with love, or a sudden change in your children's attitude that leaves your natural mind completely paralyzed with relief. This atmospheric transformation is the undeniable materialization of the clean ledger. It is the physical proof that your home's spiritual routing codes have been completely switched. The universe is being forced to recognize that your household is no longer a target for dark arrows, but an impenetrable sanctuary of divine favor. I saw the secret meetings where the spiritual gatekeepers of limitation plan to project their final wave of domestic chaos and financial friction onto your household for the year 2026. They had already drafted the blueprints to ensure that your home would remain a place of low-level anxiety, always managing one crisis after another, and always too distracted by domestic stress to ever focus on the massive global wealth and creative breakthroughs that heaven is releasing to your name. They wanted your family trapped in a cycle of constant emotional defense. But the invisible hand has walked straight through their biological and physical blockades, wiped your family records clean, and erected a blazing wall of fire around your property lines. Their legal authority over your home has been permanently revoked, and your household has been stamped with the infinite protection of the King. You are moving away from the position of the worried, vulnerable defender and taking your seat as the sovereign gatekeeper of an armored bloodline. There is an absolute, unyielding spiritual law operating within the highest courts of heaven that decrees that whenever your household has been secretly targeted, emotionally drained, and heavily weighed down by a cloud of constant worry, the ultimate relief will not be a slow, difficult process of human recovery. It will be a sudden, explosive arrival of supernatural restoration. The long, exhausting seasons of you lying awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling and drowning in a silent panic about your children's future, your mounting household bills, and the terrifying fear that your family will never break out of this exhausting cycle of survival have officially reached their absolute expiration date tonight. I am here to build a fierce, indestructible certainty in your soul. The entire architecture of generational struggle and domestic anxiety in your home is being completely demolished by the midnight good news. Heaven has just authorized an immediate, high-velocity material and emotional settlement that will completely bypass every traditional timeline, every human gatekeeper, and every slow-moving rule of the natural world. God is not just throwing your family a small, temporary lifeline, He is forcefully executing a mandatory 10x joy and safety restoration that will instantly flood your household with unshakable peace and permanent financial security before the sun rises tomorrow morning. Do not be fooled by the current tension inside your living room or the cold reality of the financial limitations that have been suffocating your family line for decades. In the United States, you are constantly conditioned by a highly rigid, secular culture to believe that securing your family's future requires endless decades of grinding physical labor, that your children are bound to inherit the exact same anxieties and credit struggles you went through, and that your household must stay permanently restricted to a life of borrowing, renting, and scraping by. But I am here to completely interrupt that systemic brainwashing with an uncompromising, absolute prophetic mandate. The invisible hand is currently compressing years of withheld blessings, hidden protections, and unrewarded labor into a single, high-velocity domestic shift. I am delivering an explicit, time-stamped ultimatum to your spirit. Before 12 a.m. hits your clock tomorrow morning, A sovereign turning point will manifest in your immediate physical reality. You will receive an unprecedented piece of news regarding your children, an unexpected breakthrough text message about your home, a major financial clearance, or a sudden notification that will leave your natural human mind completely paralyzed with shock and relief. This is the official arrival of your family's new era. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of heavy burden and division celebrating the fact that your household had been under constant emotional and financial pressure. They stood over your home, holding up your past family arguments, your moments of quiet despair, and your financial stresses as permanent trophies of their victory. They whispered directly into your subconscious that you were failing as a protector, that your children were destined to carry the same heavy weights you carried, and that your household would always live at the mercy of sudden emergencies and unexpected setbacks. They set hidden traps to ensure that the exact moment your family began to experience any real harmony or financial progress, a sudden crisis or an unexplainable domestic problem would emerge from the shadows to drag your peace back to zero. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stepped into the center of your house and shattered their plots to absolute dust. He has issued a supreme household release order, demanding an immediate, forced eviction of every toxic vibration and dark assignment hovering around your bloodline. The peace that was stolen from your family is being forcefully routed back to your property lines this very hour. Do not get fooled into looking for a small, ordinary family blessing that will only cover your immediate weekly expenses, clear a minor argument, or give your household a brief moment of breathing room. Low-level survival is the frequency of the slave, but this shift is designing the armored bloodline. The invisible hand is dropping an overwhelming 10x safety and prosperity surplus into your custody to completely transition your status from a worried, vulnerable defender into a sovereign governor of a protected estate. The deep, heavy, ancestral trauma that has dictated your family's choices for decades, the constant fear of running out of resources, the anxiety of watching your loved ones suffer, and the dread of an unstable tomorrow, is being utterly consumed by this sudden influx of liquid joy and divine security. You are being aggressively extracted from the bracket of the worried casualty and launched directly into the position of a generational anchor. The emotional and financial damage of years is being completely undone in a single midnight hour. In the United States, you are surrounded by an artificial culture that tells you that your family is entirely defined by your current tax bracket, your neighborhood status, and your natural security systems. But I am here to command an absolute supernatural override of that broken Babylonian protocol tonight. There is an immediate, aggressive relocation of peace and wealth happening in your atmosphere at this exact microsecond. The security, the laughter, and the massive financial breakthroughs that were legally and spiritually withheld from your household are being shaken loose by a celestial earthquake. The enemy thought he could wear your family out by extending the emotional and financial drought for years, but he did not realize that God was compressing the vital rain of your entire family's future into a single, explosive midnight cloud. That cloud is bursting over your roof before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow morning. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them with a loud, terrifying roar of this divine settlement. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what is about to hit your device and your home. He knows that the moment that dynamic family news or bank alert materializes, his ability to control your household through fear, anxiety, and desperation is permanently broken. He has kept your home under pressure to keep your bloodline quiet, but by sending this midnight good news, heaven is completely funding your family's freedom. The people who assumed your household would always struggle, who dismissed your potential, and who expected your children to fail will be left completely speechless when they witness the immense, unexplainable sovereign surplus of love, safety, and wealth that now covers your territory. They will look for a natural explanation, but there is no logic here, there is only the supreme authority of the King. Do not be fooled. This is the definitive turning point of your domestic existence. If you turn away from this word, you are choosing to stay bound to the slow, agonizing crawl of linear worry and passing the vulnerability down to your next generation. But if you receive this aggressive restoration, you are authorizing the immediate release of the 10x payout of safety. The wall of fire is active, the enemy's assignment is cancelled, and the celestial transfer is live. The old identity of insufficiency is exiting your household forever. The absolute weight of divine protection is occupying your reality. The restoration is initiated. The codes are processing. The midnight good news is live. You are moving from the panic of the family shortage to the dominion of the overflow. The restriction is exterminated. The protection is final. I saw the secret meetings where they planned your family's final economic and emotional ruin for the year 2026, but the invisible hand has already reversed the flow of the entire system. The text and the energy that are arriving before 12 a.m. cannot be blocked, cannot be reversed, and cannot be delayed by any human or demonic force. You are moving from empty-handed worry to permanent, unshakable household abundance. The alert is coming. Your home is unlocked. Your 10x protected family air is live. We have reached the absolute, critical flashpoint of this entire generational rescue mission, the exact tactical threshold where the complete protection of your family line must be locked directly into your physical reality. You have felt the raw shock of the family attack. You have witnessed the bloodline clean vaporize the ancient sorrow ledgers of your household, and you have stood under the roaring downpour of the midnight good news as the 10x safety surplus was redirected straight into your home. But I am here to deliver an uncompromising, urgent sovereign ultimatum. In the high court of heaven, there is a strict, unyielding law of spiritual execution. A cosmic biological and physical relocation of a family requires the physical signature of the household's designated chain breaker. The massive ancestral archives have been entirely cleansed on your behalf, and your property lines have been cleared of the enemy's silent countdown. But the final activation of this generational shield demands your immediate kinetic consent to permanently lock down the enemy's terminal weapons and prevent them from launching a vengeful, sudden attack against your children and your house tonight. You must execute this shield lock command. Do not be fooled by the deceptive silence of the room you are sitting in or the seemingly mundane act of typing on a digital screen. In the United States, you are constantly surrounded by a deeply secular, surface-level culture that treats words as disposable vibrations and digital commitments as meaningless text, completely blinding you to the fact that your material and domestic destiny is secured in the unseen realm. But I am here to completely interrupt that modern blindness. Your digital response right now is not a casual engagement metric for an internet platform. It is your official spiritual signature on the celestial manifest of permanent family extension and safety. Right now, the invisible hand is standing over the central master console of your household's destiny, his finger hovering directly over the final release button. But the supreme authorization is currently paused. He is waiting for you to legally step forward and confirm your identity as the authorized guardian of your house. If you remain a silent, hesitant observer out of sheer carelessness or doubt, you are effectively signaling to the heavenly recorders that you accept the terms of the old execution notice. You are letting your silence act as a legal waiver, allowing the spirits of infirmity and lack to reoccupy your home. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of sudden collapse and domestic breakdown gathering in a desperate, frantic circle at the very perimeter of your property lines. They are staring at your fingers on your device at this very split second. They are desperately whispering doubt into the atmosphere, praying that you will hesitate, praying that you will feel too cynical, too prideful, or too embarrassed to type your decree. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep you silent for just a few more seconds, the spiritual transfer of 10x protection will hit a catastrophic, irreversible bottleneck. Your massive household breakthrough will be marked as refused and automatically sent back to a state of permanent vulnerability. The enemy will instantly regain legal custody of your family's future, reactivating their chaos protocols, and leaving your loved ones trapped in the exact same cycle of exhaustion, chronic anxiety, and sudden financial emergencies that broke your ancestors. But I am commanding you to completely smash their schemes right now. I am commanding you to log your confirmation into the heavenly database by typing in the comments immediately, "Family protected" or "My house is safe." Do not get fooled. This is the definitive fast-forward mechanism for your family's survival, longevity, and wealth. The moment you type those words, you are performing an aggressive, spiritual takeover of the peace and stability that were hoarded and stolen by the forces of scarcity since 1990. You are driving a legal stake into the spiritual database and declaring to every spirit of hereditary failure, every root of marital division, and every demonic architect of sudden domestic crisis that their jurisdiction over your home is totally broken. You are trading your years of household suffering and fear of the future for his boundless, unfailing resilience. If you choose to ignore this explicit directive out of hesitation, you are choosing to wake up tomorrow morning to the exact same heaviness, the same empty energy reserves, and the same terrifying domestic tightness you have endured for months. Your miracle will remain frozen in a state of eternal suspension because the head of the house refused to sign the release form. I saw the secret meetings of the celestial treasurers of life and legacy. They are standing at absolute attention right now, waiting for the frequency of your specific response. They cannot drop the millions of dollars in spiritual vitality and extended household protection into a physical frame that refuses to declare its recovery. Your written command is the active key that shatters the enemy's freezing mechanisms over your children's future. When you type "family protected," you are completely neutralizing the biological and financial blockades that have paralyzed your family's endurance, your mental clarity, and your long-term legacy goals. You are telling every force of external manipulation that their authority over your household timeline is entirely null and void. You are executing the sovereign decree of the king over your domestic territory. In the United States, you are trained by the secular system to operate in a spirit of absolute doubt, to wait for physical sight before you dare to speak with authority. But I am here to command a total reversal of that broken protocol tonight. In the courts of the sovereign, your decree creates the materialization. Your word forces the physical property to realign. Your long-standing family panic has been a counterfeit security blanket that you have held onto out of sheer habit. Tonight, you must violently tear that blanket away. You must trade the comfortable, predictable rhythm of your struggle for the terrifying, explosive velocity of supernatural immunity. I am commanding a full-scale spiritual riot against your household status quo. Type the word. Sign the letter. Release the flood of peace over your children. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them right now with the roaring sound of this sudden release. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what happens when your fingers touch that keyboard. He knows that the moment you enter your code into the registry, his legal right to hold your family's peace hostage is completely terminated. He has kept your household weak and worried for decades for one reason: to keep your mouth closed and your focus off your ultimate destiny. By publicly writing "My house is safe," you are officially taking your seat as a chief administrator of the kingdom's protection. You are forcing your family's file out of the enemy's execution center and triggering an instantaneous distribution of safety and life force. Do not be fooled. The invisible hand will never force his abundance into a home that remains silent and unaligned. He requires your active confirmation to drop the health and wealth of the Creator into your lap. This text is your literal digital passcode. Without it, the midnight good news remains a distant possibility rather than an immediate possession. But with it, the transfer becomes completely unstoppable. The release becomes irreversible. The safety becomes manifest. I saw the secret meetings of the registrars of glory. They are updating your family's bank balances and protection logs the very microsecond you execute this command. They are clearing the red ink of your family's struggles and inputting the massive sovereign surplus. You are moving from the panic of the ticking watch to the dominion of the master. The old frequency of decay is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense vault of life is lived the moment you claim its contents. The command is issued, the registry is open. The pen is in your hands. Do not hesitate for a single second. Do not negotiate with your past domestic trials. Family protected, type it with the heavy authority of a ruler. My house is safe, write it with the absolute certainty of an owner. You are entering the sanctuary of the fully shielded. The invisible hand has pre-approved the payout of peace, now you must finalize the delivery. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them with the pulse of the eternal covenant. The freeze is broken. The sovereign vault of longevity and protection is open. You are safe in the authorization of the Almighty. You are secure in the treasury of the King. The vulnerability is exiting. The overflow of God is occupying your home. The confirmation is final. The silent tears you shed in the dark for your children have been turned into divine weapons. The ancient, broken ledger that allowed the spirits of lack, division, and sudden tragedy to haunt your household since 1990 has been completely burned to ashes in the highest courts of heaven. Your surname has been officially recoded in the golden registry as a fully protected, fully funded estate. As I look at your home right now through the scanning lens of the spirit realm, the terrified, exhausted protector who clicked on this video drowning in anxiety about tomorrow no longer exists. You have been completely restructured at a molecular and spiritual level. You are no longer a vulnerable target trying to survive the weak. You are the sovereign gatekeeper of an armored bloodline. But hear me with an absolute, chilling clarity, and let a holy, trembling terror seize your entire soul before this transmission goes dark forever. A newly cleansed home and a newly opened vault of family safety are the absolute prime targets for a catastrophic, vengeful counterattack from the forces of chaos. You are entering the definitive phase of the finality, and your assignment right now is the ruthless, unyielding lockdown of your family's future. Welcome to the final safety wall. Do not be fooled into thinking that the enemy will simply sit back and let your children walk in absolute peace, health, and wealth without launching a brutal, desperate raid to reclaim his territory. In the United States, you are surrounded by a superficial, casual digital culture that treats spiritual messages as disposable background noise, encouraging you to feel a temporary emotional high and then carelessly wander away. But I am here to interrupt that fatal negligence with a severe, chilling warning. The exact microsecond this video ends and your screen goes dark, the spirits of domestic destruction are going to deploy their most vicious trackers to find your coordinates. They are waiting for you to drop your guard. They are praying that you treat this historic generational shield as a common internet video rather than an eternal, life and death covenant. I am commanding you to immediately build your protection circle. This circle, this absolute, unyielding commitment to lock your household into this sanctuary by hitting that subscribe button right now, is not a media option. It is your literal spiritual security lock over your family's long life and happiness. If you choose to walk away from this altar thinking you can maintain this massive new velocity of protection on your own, you are signing a legal warrant for your own household's sudden collapse. The moment you disconnect from this continuous broadcast and remain unsubscribed, the safety wall falls. The enemy will see your property completely uncovered, and he will immediately launch a ruthless, retaliatory spiritual attack against your kids and your finances. They will hack straight back into your family's happiness, reintroduce the unexplainable emergencies, trigger sudden sicknesses, and shrink your household back into the same miserable cage of survival your parents spent decades crying inside of, you will find yourself right back where you started, watching your children struggle, watching your peace evaporate, and lying awake at midnight drowning in the exact same panic you thought was broken tonight. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I see the thieves of destiny standing at the perimeter of your house at this very second, watching your hand on your device. They are counting on your pride. They are betting everything that you will be too distracted, too lazy, or too careless to lock your subscription into this fortress. And hear me closely, it breaks my heart to deliver this truth, but your negligence in this final hour does not just ruin your children's future, it deeply, profoundly grieves the heart of Almighty God. It causes the Creator of the universe to weep over your life out of sheer sorrow for your carelessness. Think of the agonizing, staggering cost that was paid to buy your family's freedom tonight. Think of the man of sorrows, Jesus Christ, hanging on a brutal wooden cross, his body stripped completely naked, his flesh torn to ribbons, crying out in absolute agony as he took the full, crushing weight of your generational curses, your family's poverty, and your children's vulnerabilities into his own innocent soul. He allowed his own heart to rupture and his own blood to pour onto the dirt so that your household could inherit an impenetrable, supernatural shield. Every single stripe on his bleeding back was paid in full to purchase the safety and prosperity of your next generation. How dare you treat his agony like a cheap, passing entertainment clip? How can you look at the bleeding wounds of your Savior, who broke the banks of hell to protect your house, and then walk away from his fortress because you were too careless to stay connected to his altar? When you turn your back on this protection circle, you are looking directly into the weeping eyes of God and telling him that his son's sacrifice wasn't worth your commitment. You are making the father hide his face in deep sorrow, watching his child willingly hand the keys of the household back to the very demons that tortured their lineage since 1990. Do not make him withdraw his hand of protection from your roof. Do not force the spirit of safety to depart from your borders because you treated his holy covenant like a common game. Do not get fooled. This is your final ultimatum. This channel is your digital altar of multi-generational momentum, the precise spiritual fuel station where you are legally required to check in every single night to receive your daily territorial updates. By hitting that subscribe button right now and activating your notification bell, you are arming the laser security system of heaven around your bank accounts, your marriage, and your children's destiny. You are completely vandalizing the enemy's last hope of reclaiming your peace. You are sealing the walls of the covenant fortress. Hit the button. Lock the circle. Stand inside the safety wall and refuse to move. Do not grieve the Father. Do not betray the Son. Stay connected, stay sovereign, and protect your home forever. The curse is liquidated. The family is armored. The protection circle is locked eternally.